What's going on, guys? So I figured I'd make a quick video on how I'm farming the handsome sorcerer right now. In terms of weapons, all I'm using is a flying sandhawk with slag. I personally love a sandhawk with slag because it makes life in OP levels so easy. You don't have to worry about using your magic missile, but if you don't have a slag option, aim for a shock option. That's probably the best for general usage, and you can just use a magic missile for slagging things. For the shield, you just want a B shield. Not really too much to say about that, everyone knows about the B shield. Jump straight into the skills and I'll explain why I'm using what. I'll be using ward for the shield recharge delay, almost cuts it in half. It's amazing for the B shield. We're using accelerate on 10 out of 5. This is for the bullet speed because we're using the sandhawk. It just makes it easier to hit your shots on moving targets. Not too worried about phase lock for this build because we're just focusing on killing the handsome sorcerer. So we're using fleet because when our shield drops we're going to be taking cover, using this to get behind cover and allow our shields to recharge, so that we're applying as much amp damage as possible. A little bit of usage for converge on the two phases, where the one where he spawns the dragons and the one where he spawns the skeletons. It just allows you to get off more DPS without taking any damage to your shields. We're going to use quicken because we are going to want to try and use our phase lock on two separate phases, but that is all we're using it for. Subsequence, we've got a few points in this just because it's not necessarily essential, we just need it for the initial pull from convergence to start off with, but it's nice to have. And then we're using thought lock just because we can use this to pull a bit of aggro. Pulling any aggro away from us allows us to keep our big shield charged much longer, so obviously that's beneficial. Mind's Eye, critical hit damage, that's all we're taking that for. So our class mod buffs it, so we're going to buff it further, put it on 10 out of 5. Wreck is just a general DPS increase for any build, and obviously our class mod's buffing that as well, so we're going to throw some points into that. Recompense, it's situational, it's not going to be very useful against lower level enemies, but against certain bosses with certain attacks it can do a bit of decent return damage, so it's nice to have. It's not necessarily essential, but seeing as we've got the extra points now from being able to go to OP10 and level 80, I figured I'd throw a few points into it and just adds a little bit extra to the build. Flicker, that's almost a third increase in our chance to apply slag with our sandhawk, so that's always nice to have. Foresight is almost, in my opinion, essential to have if we're using a sandhawk, because in my personal opinion the magazine size is just not that great. So 10 out of 5 on Foresight almost doubles our magazine size, cuts our reload speed in half. Just amazing to use with this build. Immolate is just nice to help us get a second wind if we do happen to go down. We shouldn't go down if we're doing this correctly, but just in case, it does help us get a second wind, especially in combination with our Heart of the Ancients relic or something like that. It's very useful to have. Cloud Kill, it's 1 point, might as well take it. You're going to be wanting to take Reaper on any boss killing build, to be perfectly honest with you. It just greatly increases up the first half of the fight, so there's no reason not to take it, and seeing as our class mod puts it on 5, we're going to put it on 10. That's going to give us 80% damage. That's a huge amount of damage, okay. Blight Phoenix, this isn't really essential, but we had to put 4 points in this so that we can get down to Ruin, which we are going to be wanting to take because it does slag nearby enemies, which when you're pulling the dragons and the skeletons, this is kind of helpful if you do happen to need to kill one of them for them being too close to you or whatever the situation may be. Now I'll show you the actual fight itself. So we're just going to speed run straight past everything here. If you see a skeleton, just throw your phase lock on him, keep running. We've got another archer there, which is a little bit unfortunate. The spawns are random, but I like to use my phase lock on the archers if possible. It will be back up by the time you get to the fight, so it's not too much of an issue to use it there. There's 2 chests just here that I always like to check on the way. There could be a mimic, so I don't usually tend to hang around. Nothing good from those, so we'll just keep going. So the moment you come through here, the fight is going to start, so be ready to start applying the damage. You can see here his health dropping very quickly. Now he's at half health, we're going to use our phase lock on him to increase our damage, seeing as we're not getting our Reaper buff. Just going to keep fighting around the fight like this. There you go, now he's down. Just going to spawn over to this side here. When he spawns in skeletons, use your phase lock on him. pull them away from you. And, you can shoot those skulls that fly towards you if you happen to see them in time. I usually like to play this part of the fight from here. I'll come down, spawn his dragons. Now I'm going to use my phase lock on him. And that's the fight. So you just kite around all the enemies, it's not too difficult once you know what you're doing. But yeah guys, that's the fight. Build works very well. All you need is the Sandhawk, the Bee Shield, a Cat class mod, and if you spec into how I have this build right here, as you can see, it makes very quick work of the handsome Sorcerer, even on OP10. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you did, leave a like, and I'll be making a lot more videos on Borderlands 2 in preparation for making content for Borderlands 3 when that comes out, so be sure to subscribe and stick around for that. Peace out.